The uninvited Discovery Captain Elena Vasquez rubbed her tired eyes as she stared at the flickering data streams, cascading across her command console aboard the EDS Prometheus. 3 months of deep space patrol near the outer rim had yielded nothing, but cosmic dust and the occasional asteroid worth cataloging. The bridge hummed with the quiet efficiency of a well-trained crew, but Elena could sense the restlessness that came with extended tours in the void between stars. "Captain, we're picking up something unusual," called Lieutenant Sarah Chen from the communications station. Her fingers danced across holographic controls as she fine-tuned the sensors. "It's an encrypted transmission on a frequency we've never encountered before." Elena straightened in her chair, instantly alert. In 30 years of service with the Earth Defense Fleet, she had learned that unusual in deep space usually meant trouble. "Can you decode it?" "Working on it now," Sarah replied, her brow furrowed in concentration. "The encryption is incredibly sophisticated, but there are mathematical patterns I recognize. Give me another few minutes." The bridge fell silent except for the soft beeping of instruments and the low thrum of the ship's engines. Elena watched her communications officer work, knowing that Sarah Chen was one of the finest xenolinguists and code breakers in the fleet. If anyone could crack an alien cipher, it would be her. "Got it," Sarah suddenly exclaimed, her excitement palpable. "Captain, you need to see this immediately." The main view screen shimmered to life, displaying what appeared to be a conference room filled with beings that definitely weren't human. Elena counted 12 distinct species, each more alien than the last. A towering reptilian creature with golden scales dominated the center of the gathering, while crystalline beings that seemed to pulse with inner light flanked a table made of what looked like condensed starlight. "This is a live transmission," Sarah whispered, her voice filled with awe and concern. "They're meeting right now, approximately 4 light-years from our current position." Elena leaned forward as the reptilian being began to speak. Thanks to Sarah's decryption work, universal translation protocols kicked in, rendering the alien's words in clear English. "Fellow council members," the creature said, its voice carrying an air of absolute authority. "We gather today to finalize the partition of Sector 7739, commonly known to its primitive inhabitants as the Solar System." Elena's blood ran cold. The Solar System, Earth's home, her home. "The humans remain unaware of our deliberations," continued what appeared to be a being made of living metal with multiple arms. "Our intelligence indicates they have barely achieved faster-than-light travel and pose no significant threat to our expansion plans." A floating jellyfish-like creature with bioluminescent patterns pulsed as it spoke. "The third planet shows remarkable agricultural potential. My people require such worlds to support our growing population. And the asteroid belt contains rare minerals essential for our war effort against the Andromedans," added a wolf-like being with silver fur and glowing red eyes. "The humans have barely begun to exploit these resources." Elena felt anger building in her chest as she listened to these beings casually discuss dividing up human space as if Earth and its colonies were uninhabited territory. The arrogance was breathtaking. "What is their current military capability?" asked the reptilian leader, whom Elena now realized must be some sort of council chairman. "Laughable," replied the metallic being with what sounded like contempt. 47 ships constitute their entire defense fleet. Primitive nuclear weapons, basic plasma cannons, and armor that wouldn't stop a civilian transport's mining laser. "Then, we are agreed," the chairman declared. "The formal partition will take place in 5 hours at the Kepler 442 system. Each species will claim their designated territories, and we shall proceed with colonization immediately afterward." The transmission ended abruptly, leaving the bridge of the Prometheus in stunned silence. Elena stared at the blank screen, her mind racing through the implications of what they had just witnessed. "Captain," said Commander Torres, her tactical officer, "if they think our entire fleet consists of only 47 ships, they're in for quite a surprise." Elena allowed herself a grim smile. The aliens' intelligence was outdated by at least 5 years. The Earth Defense Fleet had grown exponentially since first contact protocols had been established, reaching nearly 200 ships of various classes. More importantly, human engineering had advanced far beyond what these arrogant council members apparently realized. "Sarah, can you trace the source of that transmission?" Elena asked. "Already on it, Captain. The signal originated from a massive space station in the Kepler 442 system, exactly where they said their meeting would take place." Elena stood and began pacing, a habit she had developed when making crucial decisions. "Commander Torres, what's our current distance to Kepler 442? 3.7 light-years, Captain. At maximum FTL, we could reach their position in approximately 4 hours. And how long would it take to contact Earth Command and get authorization for a response?" Torres checked his calculations. "Round trip? Communication delay to Earth is currently 6 hours, assuming immediate response from Command." Elena stopped pacing. By the time they could contact Earth and receive orders, the Alien Council would have already divided up human space among themselves. Sometimes Command decisions had to be made in the field, and this was definitely one of those times. "Sarah, can you patch into the Earth Defense Network from here? It'll take some doing, but yes, I can establish a priority channel to all fleet assets within 50 light-years. Do it." Elena returned to her command chair, her decision crystallizing. "And prepare a message for transmission on all Earth military frequencies." The next hour was a whirlwind of activity. Sarah's fingers flew over her console as she accessed secure military networks that hadn't been designed for use at such extreme range. The strain on the ship's communication array was enormous, but gradually, acknowledgement signals began coming in from Earth Defense Fleet vessels scattered across nearby systems. Elena's message had been simple and direct. "All available ships converge on Kepler 442 immediately. Operation Uninvited Guest is now in effect. We're going to crash a party." Within 2 hours, 47 ships had acknowledged the emergency assembly order. Elena smiled grimly at the number. The aliens had gotten one thing right about the size of humanity's response capability, but they had no idea what Earth's shipyards had been producing in recent years. As the Prometheus prepared for its jump to Kepler 442, Elena reviewed what they knew about the alien species from the council meeting. Each appeared to represent a different type of galactic civilization. The reptilian saurians seemed to be natural leaders, the crystalline luminari appeared to be energy-based beings, and the metallic Vorthan collective showed signs of advanced cybernetic integration. "Captain," Torres reported, "we're receiving final positioning data from the fleet. All ships are ready for coordinated jump." Elena nodded, feeling the weight of command settle on her shoulders. What they were about to do could be considered an act of war by some definitions, but it could also be humanity's first real chance to establish itself as a player on the galactic stage. "All ships, this is Captain Vasquez," she announced over the fleet channel. "In 30 minutes, we jump to Kepler 442 to attend a meeting we weren't invited to. Our objective is simple. Make it clear that humanity won't be carved up like a holiday turkey while we're not looking." Acknowledgements came in from 46 other ship commanders, each ready to follow Elena into what could be the most important confrontation in human history. As the final minutes ticked away, Elena stood before the main view screen, watching space distort as the fleet's FTL drives powered up. Somewhere ahead of them, 12 alien species were preparing to divide up human territory without even the courtesy of a declaration of war. "Jump in 10 seconds, announced the navigation officer. Elena gripped her chair's armrests, thinking about Earth, about the colonies, about the billions of humans who had no idea their fate was being decided in a secret meeting, light years away. Execute jump. The stars stretched into lines, and the Earth Defense Fleet disappeared into hyperspace, racing toward a confrontation that would change the course of human history forever. The uninvited guests, the massive space station designated as Neutral Ground 1, hung in the void near Kepler 442's outer gas giant, its crystalline spires and metallic docking arrays gleaming in the light of the distant star. Inside its vast conference chamber, 12 species representatives sat around a table that had been carved from a single asteroid and polished to mirror perfection. Ambassador Zekatar, the golden-scaled saurian who served as council chairman, gestured with one clawed hand toward the holographic display floating above the table's center. The display showed a detailed map of what humans called the solar system. with different colored zones marking each species' claimed territory. "The division is equitable," Zektar declared, his voice carrying the authority of someone accustomed to being obeyed. "The Luminary will establish energy harvesting stations around the star itself, while the Vorthon Collective claims the asteroid belt for mineral extraction." High Priestess Velana, her crystalline form pulsing with soft blue light, seemed pleased with the arrangement. "My people require vast amounts of stellar energy to maintain our civilization. This human star burns cleanly and will serve our needs for several millennia." Commander Thax of the Crobian military caste snarled his approval, his wolf-like features twisted into what passed for a smile among his species. "And my warriors will enjoy establishing hunting preserves on the outer worlds. These humans should provide interesting prey once we've subdued their primitive weapons." "What of the humans themselves?" asked Counselor Murdak, a floating cephalopod, whose bioluminescent patterns shifted nervously. "Surely some consideration must be given to the existing population?" Zektar waved dismissively. "A minor concern. Intelligence reports indicate fewer than 12 billion individuals across all their settlements. They can be relocated to designated reservations on less valuable worlds or simply integrated into our labor forces." The casual discussion of enslaving an entire species sent ripples of agreement around the table. These beings had done this before, Elena realized as she watched from the bridge of the Prometheus, now holding position just outside the station's sensor range along with 46 other Earth Defense Fleet vessels. "Are we certain their military poses no threat?" asked Administrator Nixall, a being that appeared to be composed entirely of living shadow. "Even primitive species can surprise us if desperate enough. Their entire fleet consists of 47 vessels," Thax replied with contempt. "Crude nuclear weapons and basic energy shields. My personal yacht has more firepower than their largest warship." Elena smiled grimly at that assessment. The aliens were about to learn just how wrong their intelligence could be. "Sarah, are we ready?" she asked quietly. "All ships are in position, Captain. We've identified every docking bay and emergency exit on that station. If this goes badly, we can be out of here in under 60 seconds. Let's make sure it doesn't come to that." Elena stood and straightened her uniform, knowing that the next few minutes would determine humanity's future in the galaxy. "Open a channel to the alien station." "Channel open, Captain." "Unknown station, this is Captain Elena Vasquez of the Earth Defense Fleet. We request immediate permission to dock and address your assembly." The response came quickly, transmitted in a dozen different alien languages before settling on accented English. "Human vessel, you are in violation of neutral ground protocols. Depart immediately or face destruction." "Negative," Elena replied calmly. "We have business to discuss with your council. I suggest you reconsider your position." "You dare threaten us?" Zektar's voice boomed through the communication channel. "A single primitive ship against the combined might of 12 civilizations?" Elena's smile widened. "Sarah, activate the fleet beacon. Throughout the Kepler 442 system, 47 Earth Defense Fleet vessels suddenly appeared on every sensor screen, their advanced stealth systems disengaging simultaneously. The alien station's defensive systems immediately went to high alert, but Elena could imagine the confusion in the council chamber as they realized they weren't facing a single ship, but an entire armada. 47 ships, Elena said into the silence that followed. "Just like your intelligence reported. Of course, your intelligence was about 5 years out of date." The tactical display on the Prometheus showed the alien response. Defense platforms coming online, escort vessels moving, to intercept positions and what appeared to be panic in the station's command center. "How did you detect our meeting?" Zektar demanded, his earlier confidence noticeably shaken. "Ambassador, with respect, when you're planning to carve up someone's territory, you might want to use better encryption on your communications." Elena gestured to Sarah, who began transmitting the recorded council session to every ship in both fleets. "We've been listening to your entire conversation." The silence that followed was profound. Elena could almost feel the embarrassment radiating from the alien station. As 12 species representatives realized their supposedly secret meeting had been compromised from the beginning. "You still face impossible odds," Commander Thax growled, though his voice lacked its earlier conviction. 47 ships against our combined fleets is suicide." "Commander," Elena replied with dangerous calm, "I think you've misunderstood something fundamental about humans. We don't ask for permission to exist. We don't negotiate for the right to defend our homes. And we certainly don't appreciate being carved up like a meal while we're not invited to the table." She nodded to Torres, who activated the fleet's combat displays. Suddenly, every alien sensor in the system was flooded with detailed scans of Earth Defense Fleet capabilities, shield, strengths that exceeded their estimates by orders of magnitude, weapon systems that incorporated technology they didn't recognize, and most importantly, crew sizes that indicated these weren't automated ships, but vessels filled with humans ready to fight for their survival. "Impossible," whispered Velana, her crystalline form flickering with what Elena had learned to recognize as alien expressions of shock. "Your technology shows advancement far beyond our projections." "High Priestess, we've had some very motivated engineers working around the clock since we first detected alien presence in nearby systems," Elena explained. "Amazing what humans can accomplish when their survival is at stake." "What do you want?" Zektar asked finally, his voice carrying a tone Elena had never heard from him before. "Respect. Simple. A seat at this table." Elena stood straighter, her voice carrying across space to every being listening. "Humanity claims the right to participate in any discussion of our territory, our resources, or our future. We're not asking for permission anymore. We're taking our place in the galactic community." The council chamber fell silent as 12 species processed this unprecedented situation. No primitive species had ever forced their way into a council meeting before. The implications were staggering. "And if we refuse?" Thax asked, though his challenge sounded half-hearted. Elena's response was immediate and unwavering. "Then you'll learn firsthand why humans have never been successfully conquered, by anyone, alien or otherwise. We've been fighting each other for thousands of years, Commander. Fighting you won't be any different, except we'll all be united against a common enemy." Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward, her diplomatic training taking over. "However, we'd prefer cooperation to conflict. Humanity has much to offer the galactic community. Our adaptability, our innovation, and our determination. We can be valuable allies or formidable enemies. The choice is yours." Ambassador Zektar looked around the table at his fellow council members, reading expressions and body language that had taken Elena's team months to decipher. Finally, he spoke. "The council will reconsider the situation. Perhaps a more inclusive approach to Sector 7739 would be appropriate." "Excellent," Elena said, allowing warmth to enter her voice for the first time. "Then I suggest we begin with formal introductions. I'm Captain Elena Vasquez, representing Earth and all human settlements. We're honored to finally meet our galactic neighbors, even if the circumstances are a bit unconventional." As docking procedures began and Elena prepared to set foot on an alien station for the first time in human history, she couldn't help but smile. Sometimes the best way to get invited to a party was to show up anyway, bring all your friends, and make it clear you weren't leaving. The galaxy had just learned that humanity had arrived, and they weren't going anywhere. The age of humans asking for permission to exist was over. The age of humans taking their rightful place among the stars had begun. 3 hours later, as the first interspecies agreement in human history was signed aboard Neutral Ground 1, Elena stood at the observation deck watching Earth's sun gleam in the distance. 47 ships had come to crash a party. They were returning home with humanity's first galactic treaty and a future among the stars that no one could ever again discuss without them. The uninvited guests had become permanent members of the galaxy's most exclusive club, and they had earned their membership the human way, by showing up when it mattered most, standing together when the odds were impossible, and never, ever backing down. The stars belonged to humanity now, not because they had been given permission, but because they had taken their place among them with courage, determination, and an armada that nobody had seen coming.